It's Mock Draft Monday, but on a Tuesday. Let's do it.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Matt Derry with you. It is another installment of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is a Tuesday, January 28th, and a Wednesday, January 29th. Tomorrow, Colton Pouncey covers the Lions for theathletic.com will join us. We're hopefully going to get Brett Whitefield on from Fantasy Points either Thursday or Friday from Mobile, the site of the Senior Bowl. As workouts continue this week, we'll get a Senior Bowl update this week as well. But thanks for making us your first listen, everybody, and checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Thank you to our everydayers that are out there that watch and listen to the pod daily. We will hear from one of our everydayers today in our Call of the Day segment coming up at the end of the program. If you want to be the Call of the Day, just go to speakpipe.com/Derry podcast page. That is SpeakPipe, SPEKPIPE, speakpipe.com/Derry podcast page. And please leave a voicemail, keep it clean, be semi-nice, and we will play the show, the voicemail on the show as our call of the day. Our broadcast today brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. We have Mock Draft Monday today, but it's a Tuesday. We had a lot to get to yesterday with all the coaching carousel news and everything else, so we wanted to move the mock draft back to today, which we will do. Also on the podcast today is Tanner Engstrand leaving for New York. There are reports that he is in talks with Aaron Glenn about becoming the Jets' offensive coordinator. Of course, Engstrand is currently the Lions' pass game coordinator. We will see about that. The NFL did something ridiculous this past weekend in terms of how they find players. I will explain that coming up in a little bit. And again, as we mentioned, we will do a call of the day as well. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. If you missed it yesterday, we talked a little bit about it, but Aaron Glenn was officially handed the reins of the New York Football Jets in a press conference yesterday. And we didn't really talk about it much, but I just want to say this about future head coach, now current head coach, Aaron Glenn. The Lions defensive coordinator is going to do great in New York. He refused to give in to the questioning about Aaron Rodgers. And he kind of got surly and he kind of got a little bit chippy with some of the New York media, but he did it in a way that made people laugh. He had a good sense of humor about it, but he also was able to drop the hammer and swear a little bit and say, we're not going to put up with this, and get ready and put your seatbelts on and buckle in, Jets players, because we're going to work hard because we're the New York bleeping Jets and all these things. But he also had a little bit of comedic value in there and personality. And I just think that Aaron Glenn going back to New York, well, New Jersey, but where he played, where he had success as a Pro Bowl cornerback with the Jets, having to, let's be honest, shine a turd a little bit with the Jets. Longest running playoff drought and everything else in football. I think that's going to be a tremendous hire for New York. And I like the way Aaron Glenn handled the media there. You know, Robert Saleh was a little bit too timid before him. And I thought AG did a great job in his press conference yesterday. As far as the Lions go, they're continuing to, fill in the staff. We talked about John Morton yesterday becoming the Lions' new offensive coordinator. More reports are coming in today that it's going to be made official like any minute now. That the former Lions assistant from 2 years ago, the former Jets OC in 2017, Johnny Moe, as Barstool's own John Gruden called him to Dave Burkett yesterday. Johnny Moe is going to become the Lions OC, which means likely that Tanner Engstrand is going to leave. We'll get into that coming up momentarily. But as I said yesterday, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the John Morton hire. I'm not going to go crazy about it. I'm not going to tell you they needed to get this guy or that guy, but 55-year-old sort of vagabond assistant that was stripped of his play calling duties at USC at one point years ago, fired after 1 year with the Jets a few years ago. I'm a little bit underwhelmed. The Jets used to complain that they didn't run the ball enough under Morton. Well, Morton better run the ball here because that's what the Lions do best. All right, mock draft Monday on a Tuesday. There are so many mock drafts, and with the draft in full swing, you have the Shrine Bowl going on. You've got this week with the Senior Bowl. All eyes now turn to the draft before we get to Super Bowl week next week. All right, and there's a ton of mock drafts that are out there, whether it's Daniel Jeremiah on NFL.com or The Athletic or our friends at the Draft Network or whatever. I'm picking one for today so we can discuss a little bit and get into where players might fall to number 28 in the first round for your Honolulu Blue and Silver Gladiators. So in this mock draft, we're going to go with CBS Sports.com and Blake Brockermeyer, who put out a mock draft today. It's my best Tanya Lalonde impersonation. So top 5, let's just go through this. According to CBS Sports, this is a mock draft. They've got Cam Ward going to Tennessee at number 1. Many mock drafts do not believe that they're going to go quarterback to Titans because they have Will Levis. But in this mock, Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter, number 2 to the Browns. A lot of people have that. Shedeur Sanders at number 3 to the Giants. Number 4, Abdul Carter, who many feel is the best player in this draft. The edge rusher from Penn State going number 4 to New England. And number 5, Walter Nolan, of the Jacksonville Jaguars, a defensive lineman of Ole Miss, I should say, going to Jacksonville. So you got to scroll down. Remember the old days when the Lions were picking 2nd and 3rd and 7th? It's nice to be able to scroll and get to number 28. Now, I'm going to reveal to you today the guy that is my first choice. And again, this is very early. We haven't even gone to free agency yet. I'm probably going to change my mind 50 times. Okay. But the guy that, if you said to me right now, who would you want, Matt, at number 28 for the Lions? Who would I want is the kid out of Marshall, Mike Green. Edge rusher, coming out after a couple of years. Redshirted his first year and played 2 years. Athletic, speedy, 17 sacks. 17 sacks last season in college football. 22 and a half tackles for a loss. And I get it. It's the MAC, whatever. He's at the Senior Bowl this week, so we'll get a little update on him. But Mike Green, 6'4", 250, speed on the edge to put opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Do I think he's going to be there at 28? Probably not. But you never know, right? We didn't think Terrion Arnold would be there for the Lions to trade up and get a 23 last year. So that would be my pick. So in this mock draft on CBS Sports, Mike Green is mocked number 15 to the Atlanta Falcons. So in this mock draft at number 28, Blake Brockermeyer of CBS Sports has the Lions taking at number 28, Derek Harmon, defensive lineman, more of a tackle, 6'5", 310 out of Oregon. Don't you hate when people call it Oregon? It's not Oregon, it's Oregon. Blake writes, quote, Derek Harmon is a disruptive interior force who fills a position of need for the Lions. With 40 hurries, 5 sacks, and 8.5 tackles for loss in 2024, Harmon's quickness and burst make him a valuable addition to Detroit's defense. His ability to knock back the line of scrimmage and penetrate gaps fits the Lions' aggressive defensive philosophy. Look, you can never have enough offensive linemen. You can never have enough defensive linemen. Derek Harmon, to me, is a good football player. Interior D lineman, which means that, at his size, maybe he could play some on the outside. Look, the Lions at times last year rotated Levi Onwuzurike in there with DJ Reader, who will be back next year, you got to figure, and Aleem McNeil, who may not be ready at the start of the year. We'll have to wait and see. But would I complain about the Lions going defensive lineman and a guy from Oregon who played on an undefeated team up until the playoffs? Not at all. Not at all. Jack Sawyer, by the way, we've seen mocked to the Lions, did not go in the first round in this mock draft. That's another edge rusher that certainly could be of interest to Detroit. So First mock draft we've done, Derek Harmon, defensive tackle from Oregon. Again, Lions need more push up front. They do. And I know Zadarius Smith wants to be back. I know the Lions have some decisions to make about Onwuzurike and everything else. But to me, the two free agents that the Lions have now that I most want back are Carlton Davis and Kevin Zeitler. Those two guys, I think, are the most important to bring back if the Lions were going to do that. Is it going to be Tanner time in New York? We'll get into that coming up next right here on a Monday. I should say Tuesday. My days are all screwed up. Locked On Lions. And our broadcast today brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 coming up next weekend. One game, two teams. The Chiefs, the Eagles, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, come on, that's icing on the cake right there. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, the official partner of Super Bowl 59. Locked On Lions for a Tuesday edition. Again, the Athletics at Colton Pouncey tomorrow, Thursday or Friday. We're working on getting Brett in here. Brett Whitefield from Fantasy Points. Great analytics guy. Always is at the Senior Bowl every year. Loves looking at the college prospects. We're going to get B on here later on this week. Friend of the program, Brett Whitefield. All right, look, we knew this was coming, right? Ben Johnson took JT Barrett, assistant quarterbacks coach, and Antoine Randall L., wide receivers coach, with him from Detroit to Chicago. Great opportunity for Randall L., who did a really good job with the receivers, to become the assistant head coach, get a bump in pay, and leave for Chicago. Barrett also is going. Aaron Glenn, has relationships with the guys on the staff. I mean, Aaron Glenn was as popular of a guy in that room, in that locker room, as anybody. According to reports from Josina Anderson, NFL insider, and NFL reporter Aaron Wilson, the Jets are involved in, quote, substantive discussions with Lions pass game coordinator Tanner Engstrand to become their offensive coordinator. We've seen some other names out there before, including the Lions' own Mark Brunell, possibly for the job, Raiders OC Scott Turner, Nick Caley, who's the Rams pass game coordinator. But it sounds like, according to Josina and Aaron, that it could be Tanner Engstrand, who, of course, has been the Lions pass game coordinator for the last 2 years, was the tight ends coach, pass game coordinator in 2022, and then the last couple of years has just been Engstrand has the Lions passing game coordinator. Young guy, great mind, extremely popular and extremely creative. And look, what's ironic is the Lions did not. I thought this was what they were going to do, and I was wrong. Somebody texted me a couple of weeks ago and said, who do you think is going to be the Lions OC in DC? And I said, Kelvin Shepard and Tanner Engstrand. So I got one of the two. But John Morton is coming over from Denver. One of my neighbors in Denver. John Morton is Tanner Engstrand's mentor. Tanner's in his 20s, 30s, late 20s, early 30s. Young guy, 20s. And Morton's 55. They've worked together now a couple of times and go back to 2022 together. But Engstrand going to New York is interesting because you'd figure a first-time head coach like Aaron Glenn would want to have an offensive coordinator or somebody with more experience. But I'm telling you, Engstrand was a guy that designed a lot of plays, was a guy that had a big involvement in the Lions offense, And if he gets an opportunity to be the OC with the Jets, you got to take it. Plus, you got bypassed here. They're bringing in Morton from the outside. You can't also become assistant head coach because that's what Hank Fraley just got promoted to. So you can't blame Engstrand for wanting to go. But this was a guy that quietly was really moving up in that Lions system. We know how good the passing game has been the last 3 years under his tutelage. So if that were to take place, you got to give that guy a lot of credit that he's done a whale of a job and deserves this opportunity for sure. All right. Something happened over the weekend that I saw. This was on Saturday before the games on Sunday. The NFL announces their fines from the playoff games the weekend before. And we didn't really touch on this until today, so let's get to it. Your Detroit Lions own Jameson Williams, and you knew this was coming, was fined $25,000 by the NFL for unsportsmanlike conduct, an obscene gesture, as after his reverse touchdown run against the Commanders in the playoffs, flipped into the end zone as only J-Mo can do, and then decided to hump the turf. Right? It was a sexual motion of the turf. Thank goodness Amon-Ra St. Brown came over to kind of pick him up and stop him as he was humping the ground. All right. Now, it's been documented by many bloggers and angry people on the Twitter machine and other social media that yours truly is a J-Mo hater, which is not true. I just call him out when he does buffoonery. All right. And the Jameson Williams buffoonery list keeps getting added to. All right. Did he make an unbelievable play on that play? Oh, yeah. Is his speed unmatched? You bet. Do I want him back on the team next year? Of course. Jameson Williams had a 1,000-yard season, and he's just scratching the surface. He's a talented player. Did he need to do a flip and hump the ground? Probably not. And the NFL fined him $25,000. But here's what is so stupid. Frankie Louvu on the Jared Goff pick six, and Louvu is a hell of a player, all right? Commanders linebacker. Leads with the crown of his helmet and smashes Jared Goff in the chin. Helmet to helmet contact. Illegal. Also, hitting a defenseless quarterback at the 5-yard line when, I'm sorry, we all know Jared Goff ain't making no tackle at the 5-yard line on a pick six. He basically was out of the play. Louvu leads with the crown of his helmet, spears him basically with his helmet, targets him with the helmet, and he gets fined $17,000. I'm not excusing what J-Mo did, but you smash a guy in the head. Goff had to go to the tent, the injury tent on the sideline to get checked out. Missed a few plays. And Louvu gets $17,000 for nearly decapitating Goff. But J-Mo gets $25,000 for an obscene gesture. Shouldn't that be reversed? What are we doing, NFL? Come on now. I know you got dole out fines. All right. I know, guys, Brian Branch was kicked out of the Green Bay game for targeting, which was ridiculous. What was any different about Branch's helmet to helmet hit on, I forgot who it was, on the Packers in Green Bay than Louvu's hit on Jared Goff? Nothing. Frankie Louvu should have been flagged for a personal foul. The pick six should have come back. Commanders should have had the football at the 20-yard line, 15 yards from the spot of the foul. It was about 5-yard line. And the TD should have been taken off the board. Instead, no penalty, and his fine is $8,000 less than Jameson Williams's, who did an obscene gesture. What's more obscene? I'm not saying what J-Mo did was right, because it wasn't. All right. We don't need that. But Louvu nearly took Goff's head off and got less money. I have an issue with that. I do. And Louvu's a heck of a player. All right. I would take him on the Lions all day. But it was a cheap shot on Goff, and his fine was less. than an obscene gesture. Stupid. All right, we got a call of the day coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. You want to be our call of the day? Go to speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page. Oh, but first we got to tell you about our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5 o'clock. All right. Your business is always on your mind, which means when it's time to make a good hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. Post your job. All right. Do this at LinkedIn. They got a new feature that can help you write descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip: add the hiring frame, #hiring frame, to your LinkedIn profile, which I have, to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find high quality hires. We're looking to hire at my firm that I work, my 9-to-5 job at Financial Architects, looking to hire a couple of advisors, financial advisors. We've got that hiring frame on LinkedIn. If you know of anybody, by the way, hit me up on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Appreciate all of you that check out the podcast daily here on Locked On Lions. Got to give a shout out to my guy. I was talking about Financial Architects where I work. A shout out to my guy, Chavez Vincent. All right. Chavez is an everydayer. He loves the podcast, but I saw Chavez today and he's like, hey man, haven't been able to check out the show. Chavez is bummed out that the Lions aren't playing, bummed that they lost to the Commanders, and he needed a break. And so Chavez, if you're back, thanks for being back. I get it. If there's some fans that have missed the show, we're just like, yeah, I'm tuning out for a little while. I'm still, the wound is still fresh. There's still blood there. There's still a scar. I don't blame you at all. I mean, we were supposed to be talking about the Lions getting to their first Super Bowl. But I'm telling you, this team will be back. They will. A lot of talent on this team. Ton of talent on this team. All right, let's get you our call of the day, shall we? Call of the day today comes from an everydayer, which we appreciate. I love when they announce that they are everydayers. This is Blake G. We will answer his question today on Call of the Day at speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page. Take a listen.
Hey, Matt, Blake here, everydayer, originally from Windsor, now living out in Vegas. After the Packers lost their playoff game, I went over to Locked On Packers to taste Peter Burkowski's delicious tears. And he actually said something interesting, that the best defenses in the NFL tend to be heavily zone-based. And when Dan Campbell was talking about finding his new defensive coordinator, he said he wanted someone who believes in what he does, which is an aggressive man defense. And I'm just wondering, I love the aggression on offense, but do you think the aggression on defense might be holding the team back? Love what you do. Thanks, Matt.
All right, Blake, thank you very much. No, I don't think that the Lions being aggressive on defense held them back. I think what held them back was the amount of attrition that they had. I truly believe that. When you lose Aleem McNeil, who just controls the middle, who's just your plug and play best interior defensive lineman, stops the run, worries the other team's quarterback. All right. When you're up at center, when you're under center or you're in shotgun, you're Jaden Daniels or you're whomever, you look across that Lions front and you see number 54. You're like, man, somebody block him. All right. You look along the edge, along that right edge, and for the offense, the left tackle, and you don't see Aiden Hutchinson. That's a huge advantage for the offense. You lose those two guys. Then, all right, on top of Anzalone being out and Derek Barnes being out and Marcus Davenport being out and all of the other guys that got injured this year. All right. But Carlton Davis was the Lions' best cornerback, a veteran, knows how to play, got his hands dirty, physical, earns the respect of side judges and back judges that aren't going to call every ticky-tack on him because Carlton's played in the league. He's won Super Bowls with the Bucs. You lose him to injury. I think that is more of a problem than the Lions' aggressive defense, playing a lot of man. I truly believe that. I like the way the Lions play. Remember how aggressive they were against Minnesota? The Lions were nasty against the Vikings in Week 18. Just nasty. You had a Meek Robertson owning Justin Jefferson that day. He was handsy. He was pushing. He was shoving. He was aggressive. Tons of man coverage. Now, can you sprinkle in zone? Do you have to sprinkle in zone? You do. You cannot leave these cornerbacks, especially the young guys like Terrion Arnold, Rakestraw next year. You can't leave these guys on an island the whole game. And you have to show a different look to the other team's offense. But I like the way the Lions play. And knowing Kelvin Shepherd a little bit like I do, I think he's going to have the same mindset that Aaron Glenn had. In your face, aggressive, and just up in your business. The Lions were up in the Vikings' business in Week 18, and it worked to perfection. I think they got a little soft against Washington. I think the week off and guys going on vacation, and it just didn't have that same vibe as Week 18 did. And the crowd didn't have the same vibe either. So, that's kind of why I thought, I didn't think it was all just because they played man. I like the Lions' philosophy, and I hope it stays the same. And I hope Carlton Davis is back. But who knows? Aaron Glenn, is going to be taking Derek Barnes and some other players from here to New York. He is. That's familiarity around the league. All right, that'll do it for us on a Tuesday Locked On Lions. Tomorrow, Colton Pouncey, Lions beat writer, joins us from theathletic.com. Thanks for making us your first listen, everybody, and checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget, by the way, check out Locked On Red Wings, Locked On Pistons, Locked On Tigers too.